Good evening. Welcome to this candidates forum for Dobbs Ferry Mayor. My name is Susan Maggiato. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of the Rivertowns. We're pleased to be partnering tonight with Disability Rights New York to provide both American Sign Language interpretation and live closed captioning. To see the closed captions, you can click the 3 dots button on your bottom bar labeled More, or perhaps yours just says choose captions and then show captions, and you'll find the captions there. This evening, you will have the opportunity to listen to the candidates' views on issues of importance to Dobbs Ferry so that you can make an informed decision when you vote, either in early voting, which begins October 28th, or on Election Day, November 7th. I welcome the two candidates appearing tonight, Incumbent Mayor Vincent Rossillo and Challenger Edmond Manley III. Our timekeeper is Susan Schwartz, a member of the Rivertowns League and a resident of Terrytown. Our moderator is Susan Polos, and in keeping with league policy, Ms. Polos is not a voter in the district. She lives in Katona and is a member of the League of Women Voters Northeast. A word about the League of Women Voters. I'm sure you know the League as a voter service organization, and indeed we are. That's been our mission since our founding in 1920, when women got the right to vote. But we are also an advocacy group. We lobby our legislators on issues of public policy, whether at the local, state, or national level. How do we arrive at our positions? By member study and consensus. Our positions represent the view of our members. So in that sense, we are political, but we are staunchly nonpartisan. That means, as a league, we never support or oppose candidates or political parties. Membership in the league is open to anyone 16 years of age or older. A word about our recording policy that both candidates have agreed to. Only the entities authorized by the league may record or live stream this forum. Only licensed media, which includes TV, radio, and newspapers, are entitled by FCC regulations to air portions of the recording. Anyone else who broadcasts or streams the recording must do so in its entirety. This is to ensure that the content of the forum is not manipulated in any way to create false or misleading impressions of any candidate. The forum is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on YouTube on our channel, LWV Rivertowns. You can also go to our Rivertowns League website and Facebook page for a direct link to the location. There is no audience participation tonight. The questions the candidates will be answering were all submitted by members of the community, either when they registered for the forum or by email to the league. A committee of league members met to review the questions. Our role was to organize them and in some cases combine questions on a similar subject to include as many as possible. With that, I will turn the meeting over to the moderator, Ms. Polos.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Susan Polos, representing the League of Women Voters. It is my pleasure to assist you today. I am merely here to facilitate a process between you, the voters, and the candidates. I live in Bedford, not Dobbs Ferry. You are here to listen to the candidates' views about significant issues in this community and to make your decisions. Participating in the candidate forum are incumbent Mayor Vincent Rossillo, running on the Democratic line, who is being challenged by Edmond F. Manley III, running on the Dobbs Ferry Rivertown party line. A third candidate, Justin Kurian, is running on the Dobbs Ferry Rivertown party line. So was I mistaken, Mr. Manley?
Yes, my party is called Dobbs Ferry United.
It is called Dobbs Ferry United. Thank you for correcting me. Dobbs Ferry United.
You are muted.
Susan, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. So Justin Kurian is running on the Dobbs Ferry Rivertown party line, but Mr. Kurian and his slate of trustee candidates were unable to agree on this date for the forum. And since only 3 of 6 candidates for 3 trustee seats agreed to this date, there will not be a forum for the trustee candidates. Questions for tonight's forum were submitted by Dobbs Ferry residents and reviewed by league members. There will be no live questions during the forum. The only restrictions on candidate statements and answers are respect and civility. I reserve the authority to pause the proceedings to enforce the ground rules and format. Each candidate has 1 minute for their opening and closing statements. They will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. The timekeeper will indicate when 30 seconds remain in the allowed speaking time, and again, when the time is finished. Each candidate will also have the opportunity for 2 30-second rebuttals during the debate. There will be no responses to the rebuttals. During closing statements, I may allow a rebuttal if appropriate. We will first have opening statements in the order of names chosen. The reverse order will be used for closing statements. Mr. Rossillo will begin with an opening statement.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it. And I am sure the residents of Dobbs Ferry appreciate the opportunity to listen to the candidates debate. For those of you who don't know me, I am Vincent Rossillo, and I am once again asking the residents of Dobbs Ferry to re-elect me as their mayor. It's a position that I have held since December of 2019. My service to the village started in 2011 when I was elected village trustee, a position I served in until I was elected mayor. My wife and I moved to Dobbs Ferry in 1992. Our 3 daughters attended Dobbs Ferry Public Schools from kindergarten to high school. We were drawn to this village by its unique blend of economic and social diversity, a vibrant downtown, and a great open space. For us, it was the promise of a better life, not just a place to live, to raise your family and leave, but also to grow old together with our friends and neighbors. For my family, this has been a place where our dreams have come true. There's still work to be done, and I ask for your continued support and trust. With your help, we can continue to work towards making our village a better place that not only honors our past, but also embraces the promise of a better future.
Thank you. Mr. Manley.
Hi, I'm Ed Manley, and I'm running for mayor for 3 basic reasons. Dobbs has been my home for 60 years, and I care about the quality of life here. The position of mayor is extremely important and deserves more attention than most people can give after their primary job. And I'm retired now, and I believe I have the time to devote to the tasks at hand. Number 3, I believe that I have the most comprehensive experience of all the candidates. In 1998, I was looking for a way to give back to the community and decided to volunteer to serve on the Architectural Review Board. After 8 years on the ARB, I was asked to join the Board of Trustees. After 2 terms as a trustee, I decided to step down and accept the job of building inspector because I saw a great need there. Before I retired, I held the position of interim village administrator, and I guided us through a very difficult and unique governing time during the height of the COVID pandemic. I've done almost every job in Dobbs Ferry government, and I'd like to be your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to start with question 1, and we will rotate with the candidates. So question 1, first for Mr. Manley. What do you think are the main issues facing Dobbs Ferry, and what uniquely qualifies you to tackle them?
So there's so many issues, but one of the main issues right now is stormwater. We're having problems with, global warming and the additional water that's falling, and how our infrastructure is inundated and overburdened. So I think we need to adjust our zoning codes and make sure that we keep projects small so that there isn't as much impervious surface, and that all new projects and renovations have some sort of stormwater retention that is required by our code, and there shouldn't be any waiver to that. I know I can do this because I've been the building inspector. I've enforced the code. I know the code better, I think, than any person around in Dobbs Ferry or out. And I know how to get it done. So other things are, some of the village buildings are in very dire need of repair. And It's been ignored for a long time. Village Hall has a leaking roof, flooding basement. The back footbridge going into the rear entrance is unsafe. These things have been a problem for a long time now and have been ignored. And I think I can get them fixed.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Rossillo?
Well, undoubtedly, infrastructure is a topic that is very on the top of our list. As the mayor, we have addressed so much of the infrastructure that has been neglected over the years. With regard to the village property, we entered into a agreement with Honeywell to tune of $4 million with guaranteed savings to us. We will redo Village Hall, new roof, new HVAC system, new air pumps to be put in, and new windows, new doors. So we are definitely improving Village Hall. It's not to say that it will solve all the problems, but we've spent a lot of money on upgrading it, as we have some other village property. And along with the rest of the infrastructure, we have spent millions of dollars on Gould Park. The wall is not only being improved, but so is the piping and the infrastructure underneath it. And we've gotten millions of dollars in grants on that. So infrastructure is important, but there's more to the village than infrastructure. It's also, the work that we've done with making Dobbs Ferry a more affordable place to live. We've created accessory dwelling units. We put that in the law for the first time. We've mandated that there be affordable housing when the new building construction. So we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to live and stay in Dobbs Ferry. We've also worked on sustainability in Dobbs Ferry. We have tightened our building codes to make it more restrictive. And we also have, worked, boy, this 1 minute is tough, huh? You're on mute.
Thank you. The second question will go to you first, Mr. Rossillo. It is, what are the major differences between you and your opponents?
Well, I certainly can't tell you the major difference between Mr. Curian and I, since I have not heard him speak about any topic, or he hasn't appeared at this event. So I cannot tell you what the major difference is with myself. And for Ed Manley, I guess we'll hear about the major differences as the day goes on. All I can tell you is what I believe in and what I've done in the past. I have a record of being the mayor, which is the chief operating officer, executive officer of Dobbs Ferry. I'm a lawyer, and I've led this village through the pandemic, also through a lot of social uprising, upheaval. I've attended many rallies, and I really care about making Dobbs Ferry a welcoming place, an inclusive place, making sure that people who work here and live here feel comfortable with Dobbs Ferry. I'm also concerned with making Dobbs Ferry a vibrant downtown. So with that, we are, keying in on responsible development. We want projects to go forth that are responsible and sensitive to the village and its past. We focus on making this place, as I said before, affordable, and we've addressed the parking situation in Dobbs Ferry. We've addressed the infrastructure. We've addressed making things much simpler in Dobbs Ferry to live and work. And again, I got the stop button.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Manley, the same question. What are the major differences between you and your opponents?
Also, I don't know Mr. Curry and can't speak to him. Difference between Vinny and I are, I think Vinny depends more on legal advice from consultants, whereas I know Dobbs Ferry inside and out, and I have engineering experience and know how to get things done. The things we was talking about before, the repairs, most of those were suggested by me. I ordered a study from engineers back in 14, showed that all of these things existed. I found the failing wall in the Embassy Center, the failing wall at Gould Park, and my suggestions to the engineers were the basis of their drawings and studies. These things just have sat around too long and need to get done. The affordable housing code has been around long before Mr. Rossillo, and those things are just there. The accessory dwelling law, nobody has used yet because it's just people are more happy to do it illegally instead of following the rules, and that proposal didn't work. I think I've written and got passed more local laws than anybody on the board today, or a combination of the whole board.
Thank you so much. Thank
Can I
you.
can I rebut that?
You can, you may have one of your 2 rebuttals, 30 seconds. Go ahead.
I just want to say with the accessory dwelling unit, we have gotten grants where people can get money to upgrade their code to bring their property up to code. But they have up to $125,000 in available grants to update their code. And the fact that people haven't done it, I don't think is a reflection of the law or the grants. And also, I think it's important to know what you don't know. And as the mayor, even though I am a lawyer, I am very, very deliberate in what I do. And I will make sure that I do go with the advice of legal counsel, the professional planner, the engineer, and other professionals on the staff. So I do not make these decisions without certainly having the proper advice.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, the 3rd question goes first to you. What do you value most about Dobbs Ferry, and what do you see as the greatest opportunities for the village?
Well, I think what I always enjoy is the riverfront view. But, there's a sense of community here. I've been here since I was 9 years old, and, it's over 60 years. And I chose to make this my permanent home instead of going somewhere more affordable. I think, in the past, we've started some projects that are contributed to the tax base, like the Rivertown Square, which I think Vinny got on the board to try and stop, but that's kept our tax base pretty low. But we have to be very focused on how we allow development. Dobbs Ferry is home to me. I love it. I've been here a long time, and I want to stay here, and I want to be able to afford it. We need to keep young people and older people in the town and able to afford to live here.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Rossillo?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. What do you value most about Dobbs Ferry, and what do you see as the greatest opportunities for the village?
Well, just to address Ed's comment about Rivertown Square, I did join the board to stop that project, and I believed it was too big and out of place for Dobbs Ferry. I thought it would take away too much business away from our downtown, which was already struggling. But I do agree with Ed that the beauty of our village certainly is the waterfront. We have a wonderful waterfront, which draws people from all over the tri-state area. And it's one of our goals is to, and one of the opportunities with the waterfront is to even maximize it more. To that end, we have docks that are on the waterfront. And to that end, we would love to have maybe boats coming in that would dock there and take people up and down the Hudson River, which would attract more people to the village. So I think the answer to your question is not only the physical beauty of the river and the Dobbs Ferry downtown, it is also the sense of community that we have and the sense that we all should want to be here and welcome other people to be here as well. Like Ed, he's made his decision to live here. I've also decided to live here for well over 30 years. And I think an opportunity is if we make this a more vibrant, diverse community, it'll attract more business, it'll attract more grants, it'll attract more people to live here and people who want to contribute to the fabric of society to make this a more livable and less expensive place to live.
Thank you. Question 4 will go first to you, Mr. Rossillo. How would you describe the differing roles of mayor and village administrator in the management of Dobbs Ferry?
Well, the village mayor has the final decision on what has to be done. And it is my job as the mayor as the chief executive officer, is to make sure that the village is running well. So to that end, I have to make sure that every department and that every policy is legal, and that we are following the plans that the village board of trustees put forth. The village administrator's job is not a policy job. His job is to make things happen. So the board of trustees will say, this is the policy that we would like to have done. Please make it work. And he handles the day-to-day administration. So if people have a personnel issue, he takes care of it. And he brings any of the issues to the board of trustees. As the mayor, I'm part of a team, the board of trustees, where we decide what policy should be done. So when we look at, for instance, a 10-year plan of what capital projects that should be done, we, the village board of trustees, will set that policy and decide which of these projects should be done and in what order. The village administrator, his or her job is to make those projects come to fruition. So they will, get the proper experts in line, and they will make sure that we, the village board of trustees, have all the information that we need to make the proper decisions.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, the same question. How would you describe the differing roles of mayor and village administrator in the management of Dobbs Ferry?
So technically, we both know, village law, and that, what the different responsibilities of administrator and mayor are. So, the administrator does all the everyday tasks of dealing with the staff and contractors and people that are working in the village. Whereas the mayor, leads the board of trustees and makes policy and law and tells the administrator what to do. I think the difference between us would be that I have more time and I've done the administrator job, and I would be in the office with the administrator more often, leading him and finding things that, he's overlooked. Every administrator that comes here, doesn't usually stay that long. By the time they get to know the village well enough to be proactive, it's years. This new administrator seems like a very nice guy and competent, but it's going to be a long time before he knows the ins and outs of Dobbs Ferry, and I have the time to be there and guide him a little more than just from a board meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, question 5. The disability community is said to be the largest minority community in the world. What would you do as mayor to advocate for making municipal services, workplaces, and businesses more accessible for people with disabilities, including those who are deaf, hard of hearing, or visually impaired?
Well, that's a topic close to home for me, because my uncle was the leader of the Office for the Disabled for Westchester County for a long time. And when I was building inspector, I made sure that every project that came before us, commercial projects, that is, were strictly to the ADA code. There were times when the 75 Main Street, I remember specifically, where we had to add a ramp to the front entrance of that to make it compliant. And then after it was done, the tenant put planters there, and we had to go down and fight her in court to make her move it, because she took away the 5-foot turning radius that a wheelchair would require. I will do everything in my power to make sure that the Americans with Disabilities Act is followed in all new projects. And if we can get funding to upgrade existing buildings, that would be a good project for us to work on as well.
Thank you. Mr. Rossillo, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. The disability community is said to be the largest minority community in the world. What would you do as mayor, or what do you do as mayor, to advocate for making municipal services, workplaces, and businesses more accessible for people with disabilities, including those who are deaf, hard of hearing, and visually impaired?
Well, as Ed said, much of our building codes, require access for the disabled. So we certainly would continue to enforce those laws and mandate it as necessary. And where it's not necessary to do more than just look the other way, we would certainly, want to put as much pressure as those developers as possible to get that done. But within the village itself, when we hold our board meetings, we are trying to use more of closed captions for people to be able to watch the meetings, participate in the meetings. And we are very sensitive to people not having the ability to participate in the board meetings. So we are trying to use the closed caption titles and allow people to even do more online items than they used to. So it is something that we will continue to focus on, and we frankly should spend more time on that issue.
Thank you. And question 6 will go first to you, Mr. Rossillo. Do you think it's important to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Dobbs Ferry community? And if so, have you facilitated or would you facilitate any measures to further the goals of DEI?
Most certainly, I do think it's very important, and it's one of the key parts of Board of Trustees of my administration that I am most proud of. I attended the Black Lives Matter rally in Dobbs Ferry. I spoke at that rally, and then I heard people who were of color who spoke, and they just did not feel comfortable in our village. And frankly, they had a whole different experience when they went shopping here and walked down the streets than I had. So I approached them, I listened to them, and in response to that, I formed the Human Rights and Diversity Committee. And I appointed a diverse group of people to really, frankly, take tough questions and see what could we do to make this a more welcoming place. And the Human Rights Committee has certainly taken up the gauntlet, and they have done surveys, they have done some outreach, and their surveys found that Dobbs Ferry, the administration, and the Board of Trustees have been more sympathetic to the needs of the disenfranchised people of color. So we have done everything we can, not everything we can, there's much, much more, but we've done more than past administrations, I believe, when it comes to making this place a more welcoming community. And that is one of my key tenets in going forward, is to that end. I know I have to stop, but I just want to say.
You do have to stop. You can say more at your closing statement and or tie it into another question. Mr. Manley, the same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I got it. There's not much difference in my response than Mr. Rossillo. I mean, I went to those rallies myself. We worked together on, I was Mr. Rossillo's interim administrator during the time we had to create that board, and we worked together on it. The only difference I think is that, I hear what he's saying about people feeling oppressed in Dobbs Ferry, because there are going to be people like that everywhere who, treat people badly. And I don't know what the answer is to try and stop that. But I believe we are an inclusive community, one of the most in Westchester. And when it came down to, affordable housing and those type of mandates put down by the county, we're one of the ones who who already complied. So I think Dobbs Ferry is trying. Dobbs Ferry is a good village, but yes, we all have to work as a people to make things better. And that would be priority on my list as well.
Thank you, Mr. Manley. The next question, question 7, goes first to you. How well do you think the streets in Dobbs Ferry are maintained, and are there road infrastructure problems that need to be addressed?
Of course, infrastructure only lasts a certain amount of time. Fortunately, the board, and Vinny was part of that, one of those was my suggestion to Charlene and Delicato to change the law where when utilities and other people dig up the street, they have to repave from curb to curb instead of just the little patch. And that was a lucky thing for us because with all the Con Ed work going on in the village, we got a lot of our streets repaved for free. But there's still a lot of streets that weren't touched by new gas pipes and need to be done. And we have a budget for these, and then the Department of Public Works puts a list which are the worst. Then every year they expend that budget and fix the ones that are more needed. I think we need to raise that budget and fix more roads every year. And the streets need to be kept neater. I mean, the right of ways. One of the biggest problems on the right of ways is village trees that are not maintained, and I plan to have the Public Works Department start pruning those trees because now they just die and are taken down, but we don't maintain them, and it also destroys the street.
Thank you.
From the roots.
Mr. Rossillo, the same question. Do you need it repeated?
No, I think I could.
Okay.
That. I mean, certainly, I agree with Ed in that the streets, the Con Ed work, the water company works. Every time we pave a road, it seems that it's dug up a few months later because Con Ed or the water company has to get in there and do work. So the curb to curb paving has worked out. But and as we know that we don't neglect the roads, and I would argue that some of the roads in Dobbs Ferry are some of the best in the Rivertowns, and that's because we maintain a strict schedule of paving. The DPW goes through the village. They maintain a list of the streets that are in the worst shape, and they then pave those streets accordingly. There is no favoritism on that. They simply follow the list and go and work on the streets. I know that it may take longer than what some people would like, but certainly, we only have a certain amount of dollars to use on that, and I think we are using them wisely when it comes to the streets. And we just got a big grant that we maintain. We redid the Main Street sidewalks, so the Main Street sidewalks have been greatly improved. We have made the Main Street a much nicer place because of this grant and the improvement on the sidewalks. And frankly, when I talk a lot then, huh?
Oh, gosh, yes. Sorry. So question 8 goes to you, Mr. Rossillo. You can keep talking, but a different question. As mayor, do you plan to work with the board and the police department to address issues with homeless people in Dobbs Ferry? What protocols are in place now?
That's a very good question. And unfortunately, the issue has become before us in real life situations. And the village has been faced with this situation. And I've asked the village administrator to contact the county for information, and he has contacted the county Department of Social Services. And in fact, the social worker did visit Dobbs Ferry a week or two ago. The social worker met with the library and the library staff to advise them on how they should respond to the unhoused that are in front of the library. The Department of Social Services for the county is also reaching out or trying to reach out to these homeless people to offer them services. The police department meets with them on a regular basis to see what can be offered to them and try to get them into social services as well. I've asked the village attorney to review the current law to see what our rights are. And frankly, we are, tied with, we're very limited on what we can do. We can't simply remove their property. We can't simply remove their tents. It's very strict on what the village can do. Unless we offer them housing, we cannot mandate that they move. So.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, do you need the question repeated or do you know it?
No, I mean, it's, Dobbs Ferry is too small a community to be able to share the burden of its own homeless facility. So in the past, we've, like Vinny said, we've called the county and people come down and try and help people to a safe place and get them some shelter, and they don't always agree to go, and you don't force people. So we do what we can. It's just to stay on top of it and keep asking them and keep making sure that that if they want to go somewhere and they're not breaking laws, then they can stay where they are. But at times we've had emergencies where fires and things where we had to call Red Cross to find people housing who are displaced from their homes because of other reasons. That always seems to work well. Homeless people who don't want to go into a shelter are a serious problem for the whole state, and it's one that I don't think I'm going to solve or be able to answer right here.
Thank you. This question is somewhat related. What opportunities do you see to create more affordable housing in Dobbs Ferry, Mr. Manley?
Well, we have it in our code, a certain percentage of any dwelling units, that are newly created that have to be affordable. And we maintain the ability to enforce that, so it's in our code. We've already done it. We've worked on it. There's always time when we can allow large projects that are going to have many dwelling units, and so a bigger percentage of affordables. So that's one way to encourage it. But we need to also be diligent in the amount of projects that we allow, because we're pretty well built out. Like I said before about the stormwater problem, the more impervious surface there is, the more structures, the more our infrastructure is overburdened. So it's a
Thank you.
double-edged sword.
Thank you. Mr. Rossillo, same question?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. What opportunities do you see to create more affordable housing in Dobbs Ferry?
So as I've indicated before, I think affordable housing is very important to the continued success of the village. And as you may or may not know, the governor had put forth a plan to essentially mandate affordable housing in communities. And if it was possible with her program, that we would have to cede all our control of the building codes to the state. So we want to get in front of that, and I was against that, and I sent a letter to the governor about that, and the governor sent a representative, and I met with that representative. So, she pulled back that program. But I do think that the governor will put forth another program that takes away our home rule. So in an effort to avoid that, in an effort to get in front of it, put forth our own footprint on this, village is looking at, possibly putting up housing that would meet the affordable housing requirements. So we are, going to put out an RFQ or an RFP We have some village property that are maybe available, and they will come forth with interesting projects, we hope, that will either be all affordable housing or a major part of it affordable housing. So we look forward to see what comes back with that. And we will also continue to encourage any other development to meet the requirements put forth by the law.
Thank you. And Mr. Rossillo, question 10. As mayor, what will you do to revitalize the downtown?
So the downtown is a major focus of the village. We were one of 5 municipalities that were recently granted money for a downtown improvement. And that grant came from the county, and it would give us the access to professionals who will review the downtown and then come forth with plans on what we can do to improve the downtown, and then provide us with money to put forth that plan. So we've already met with those people once. I think we're meeting with them again even tomorrow or the next day. And these are experts who have worked in many municipalities, who are, frankly, they are encouraged by what they see. We definitely need to do things in the downtown to make it a more vibrant place, but we are on the right step with the help of that grant. That's a grant that the county gave us, and as I said, we're only one of 5 communities to get that grant. And they will give us not only a market analysis, they'll give us a strategic plan, and they will provide us with 3 to 6 months of implementation assistance. And the county will provide 80% of the cost of the recommendation. So it's only going to cost us up to 20% of the $250,000. And I have a lot of high hope on that project.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, the same question as mayor. What will you do to revitalize the downtown?
Well, helping business succeed is first key to revitalizing the downtown. I think the recent parking issues, how people pay for parking, and the kiosks never work. This new app is a problem for a lot of people. The old solar meters didn't work. I would just eliminate the need to pay for parking in the downtown. This would bring in a lot of life and more patronage for all the businesses. And once the businesses start to succeed, the property values go up. People start sinking more money into revitalizing buildings, and when the village works in hand with that and starts, improving the publicly owned little portions, little vest pocket parks, and improve them, keep them neater, and spruce them up a bit, the whole downtown starts to look a lot better. And I believe we'll move forward. And we're on the right track right now. I think we've had a lot of recent, activity in the downtown buildings, and we just need to help the businesses succeed.
Can I rebut that?
You can.
So I don't disagree, certainly, that we're on the right track, but I think with regard to free parking, what we want to do, and we did this in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, we hired a parking expert who reviewed this, and for a while we did have free parking. But the parking brings the village approximately $20,000 to $25,000 per month. So to just say to do free parking, we're losing quite a bit of money by doing that. And the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses did want to have turnover. So I know we extended the parking to 8 o'clock, and I know that some people aren't happy with that, but that has helped the turnover and create spots. So now if you want to go shopping, you can. You're muted.
So sorry. Mr. Manley, what will you do to encourage greater pedestrian and bicycle safety on village streets, particularly on Broadway?
We could paint, a bicycle lane like they did on Ogden when they redid that road. So I think we've created a lot of bike racks on new projects, and when Walgreens went up, when 2 Ashford went up, we always made sure that there's bike racks and look forward to adding more bike lanes. The problem is funding. We need to get money, and whenever we're working on new roads and striping them, we'll be sure to add those amenities in. New projects developments should have bike lanes incorporated into them during planning and site plan review. Broadway is it's a dangerous place for a bicycle, but we need to cut down the amount of car fumes and encourage bike use.
Thank you. Mr. Rossillo, what will you do to encourage greater pedestrian and bicycle safety on village streets, particularly on Broadway?
Well, I think one of the first things, we have to make it a safe place to walk, right? And to that end, we do mandate that sidewalks be put in on new developments. We have also gotten grants to put sidewalks in places that there haven't been any right now. So when kids walk to school, they will be walking solely on sidewalks, and that's something that we want to encourage and we're all in favor of and we're working on. And we've also going to put more safety measures on where Ashford Avenue is, where Walgreens is, and where Christian Preschool is. That area will have bump outs to make it safer for the people to cross the streets and walk. When the meters were taking out, we replaced them with bike racks. So I think we put in like 30 bike racks downtown so people can ride their bikes and lock up their bikes in front of the library and Village Hall. So we have increased the use of bike racks. We may have more bike racks than any other river town. And Route 9, when they put in that new bridge, part of the money was to go towards redoing Route 9 and making that a corridor or a safer place to walk and to ride bikes. We are very much involved in our section of that. And bike lanes and bike safety on Route 9 is a very important to us, and we will continue to mandate or continue to push for bike lanes on that area. And as Ed said, it is a state road, but we are heavily involved in the Route 9 project, and we will be very forceful in saying that bike lanes should be put in that area.
Thank you. This is the last question before closing statements, question number 12, and it will go to you first, Mr. Rossillo. How will you continue to have the village work towards sustainability and carbon neutrality?
Well, as I've mentioned before, we did this Honeywell project, which starts with the village, and we want to be a good example for the village, for the rest of the businesses. With this energy performance contract, we save, actually, we will save after 10 years, 123 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions actually that's per year. We're going to save that. We're also, after 10 years, going to save 3,000 barrels of oil and 140,000 gallons of gas. So with that project alone, we are making a statement with our own money that the village believes that sustainability is of great importance. That project will also have solar panels. We have solar panels in the library, which is also saving money and going towards sustainability. We have, we're looking at food scraps and what we can do to perhaps do door-to-door food scraps on that and pick it up so we could save, metric tons of that. So, and we're also looking at so much more with de-wasting. I don't know if with waterfront events, we've had sustainability Dobbs there, and they've had de-wasting where they've implemented a lot of procedure to save the garbage bulk. So we're very much focusing on that, as well as the fact that we did pass laws that mandate that new construction meet tougher sustainability requirements. And we will not stop with that goal.
Thank you. Mr. Manley, the same question. Do you need it repeated?
I am currently on the, as Vinny knows, on the Resiliency Advisory Committee, and we're working to incorporate new laws into our village vision plan so that anything going forward is geared towards a more resilient community. We are working not only for, to deal with stormwater, excessive heat, and other emergencies that are facing our communities today. I also started the RFP for the HVAC, the heat pumps for the village hall. I wrote that a long time ago. I think it was dropped, and then the administrator after me came in with a proposal to put in regular heat, and then the board reminded him that it's not according to code, and went back to heat pumps. So just wasted a couple of years, but that's getting done. I'm also on the Conservation Advisory Board, and one of the things that makes us a resilient community is our large park infrastructure, our open natural areas, and we're trying to acquire more from the state, so we over in the Chauncey Park area, so that we can keep that pristine and plant new trees and take away invasive species.
Thank you so much. It's now time for our closing statements. These will be 1-minute closing statements in the reverse order of opening statements. So Mr. Manley, we'll start with you, Dobbs Ferry United candidate. Mr. Manley, closing statement.
In closing, as I ask for your vote, I promise I will work diligently, always for the greater good of Dobbs Ferry. I will protect our tax dollars so we do not only spend on worthwhile projects, but that those projects are designed and carried to fruition with the forethought to prevent mistakes and costly overruns. I will create a committee of representatives from each neighborhood to collect public comment, complaints, and suggestions that they will bring to the Board of Trustees so that every area of town is given equal attention. Please know that I will be able to work with whichever trustees you vote for. You don't have to vote along a single party line. When I was trustee, even though I was an independent, I was endorsed by the Democratic Party. And then when another party took control, I managed to work well with them, and we got a lot of things passed. You don't have to vote along a single party line. So if you want someone who's unbiasedly believes in Dobbs Ferry and knows how to get things done right, please vote for me.
Thank you. Mr. Rossillo, Democratic Party candidate.
Well, I think Ed and I may have different styles. Ed says that he'll have more time to devote to the village. I have devoted countless hours to the village, but I rely on experts who will lay out the policies that I and the Board of Trustees make. When it comes to the time, I have devoted not only the time in actually doing the project, but I attend all the events. When it comes to from the Little League Parade to attending Road to Freedom March to attending all Children's Village events, I am there. So I just want you to know that I am deeply concerned with our village's reputation. I recognize that it's not just a matter of pride for us, but it's a crucial factor in attracting government funds as well as new business. I think it's vital that we continue to have a steady and experienced leadership. And I certainly do listen to all perspectives and listen to every voice before making a decision. Anyone that has a problem could come to the village and speak at the courtesy of the floor.
Thank you. Thank you both. Serving the public in any elected capacity is a noble and laudable calling. Being a candidate takes courage, commitment, and a dedication to the common good.